Penn State now has won 2 straight Big Ten games against Rutgers and Northwestern, moving their overall record to 5-6. What's up, everyone? It's Austin Groff. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry I took like a 2-week break here because I'm back at school now and just getting back into the flow of things, getting back into my routine. But I'm going to be trying to upload more content for you guys since I'm back in school now. And I'm trying to still figure out my schedule and like how things are going to fit around and like where I'm going to have the most free time. But anyway, now back to Penn State. The Nittany Lions were on pause for a little over 2 weeks due to COVID-19 issues. They came back and they lost to Purdue after being off for 2 weeks, and then they lost again to Illinois. It seems like we can't play well against Illinois. They always destroy us, especially because of Kofi Cockburn. But back to that Purdue game. We gave them a close game to start. I was honestly impressed how well we played considering it was our first game back after being off for 2.5 weeks. And we've lost 3 straight in the Big Ten before that. So we were desperate. We need a Big Ten win. We needed one. But we came out, we played well as a team, but still, in the end, Purdue was at home, and it was a road game, so I wasn't expecting Penn State to win that at all. And then, like I said, back to the Illinois game. For some reason, Penn State can never give Illinois a close game. They struggled to guard Kofi Cockburn yet again. Jim Ferry actually changed up the starting lineup a bit. He put Trent Buttrick and John Harrah in to give Penn State some more size to deal with Cockburn, but in the end, it didn't really seem to matter. Illinois dominated the entire game. They ended up winning that game by like 14 points, I believe. After those 2 losses to Purdue and Illinois, we went to 3-6, lost 5 straight in the Big Ten. So they were getting desperate. And then so they came back to Bryce Jordan Center and played against Rutgers the other night. And Rutgers has been struggling as well, even when they had a strong start to the season in the Big Ten. So Penn State was fortunate. They came out and they beat Rutgers at home. Big win, gave them the confidence that Penn State needed. And it's good to see Penn State finally get a Big Ten win because I think that's what they needed because they were in a slump for a long period of time. And then they came back and they beat Northwestern the other night. So now they've won 2 straight in the Big Ten. They're now 5-6 overall record. So things are starting to look promising here. So I'm not saying that we're going to make March Madness. I'm not saying that like we're going to keep winning games because our schedule up here, our schedule the next 3 days is like really tough, or the next 3 games, sorry. The win against Rutgers and the win against Northwestern were essential because I think that they look as if they have the same motivation, the same attitude and mindset that they had at the beginning of the season when we started 3-1. The energy was there, the enthusiasm was there, and then we got to that slump. Ever since we lost to Michigan in that close game where I think we personally should have won it, ever since that game, Penn State came back, and now it seems that Penn State has the same energy as they did at the beginning of the season. And we saw last year the same thing happen where we won like 8 or 9 games straight, and that's when we got like up to the point, I think we were ranked like 8th in the nation at one point. So like now, this is exactly what the Nittany Lions needed to push them further and to give them more confidence the rest of the season. Shout out to Myron Jones. Like I said in my Penn State men's basketball preview, I thought he was the best player on this team coming to the season. He struggled to start the season, but now he's scored, I believe he's averaging 19 points in the last 4 games. So shout out to Myron Jones. He is a walking bucket. Hits it from the outside. He can get it done driving and dishing. But mainly he's hitting those deep threes in your eye and he's splashing. Even though he has that weird-looking form, it's still money no matter what. And then also Isaiah Brockington, coming off of that big game against Northwestern, had 21 points and he had a ferocious dunk. It was sweet to see, and I was happy to see Penn State win 2 straight now. Like I said, the energy was there. This is exactly what Penn State needed to get themselves going in the Big Ten now after losing 5 straight. But looking into their schedule into the future, they have 3 tough games in a row. So they go on the road and play against Ohio State. And then they play Wisconsin back-to-back 2 games in a row because they're making up for that game when they were on that period of pause because of COVID-19. Penn State has 3 games in a row now against ranked opponents. It's going to be a challenge. I think if Penn State can win one of those 3 games, it's going to be good for their resume in the long run. Because now if they're looking to make March Madness, if they want to give themselves the best chance of making it, it's what they're going to put on the resume. And their only like decent win they have is against Virginia Tech when they beat them by 20. I believe that's the only ranked team they beat this season. Now, Rutgers was ranked before, so was Northwestern. I believe almost every team in the Big Ten has been ranked other than Penn State and Nebraska and Maryland probably. It's going to matter when you beat the team when they are ranked and when they're playing at their best. Well, so we got Rutgers. Penn State beat Rutgers when Rutgers was like at their all-time low this season. And Rutgers actually just came back and beat Indiana today. And so these games against Ohio State and Wisconsin are going to be a big challenge. Ohio State's playing great basketball right now, and so is Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a really solid team. Got a lot of veteran leadership on that team as well. So ideally, Penn State needs to win one of those 3 games because if they come out of that 0-3, then it's just going to be like where we were at 3 weeks ago before the COVID pause. If Penn State gets 2 wins out of that 3-game stretch, that's going to be really good for their resume. They're going to get up to, 7-7 then, but they're going to have some really good wins. So with that kind of resume against like 3 solid teams, well, 2 teams since they're playing Wisconsin twice, if you get at least 2 wins out of that, that's going to be very promising for the team. And like for March Madness, you don't necessarily have to be above 500. You can be a 500 team in a really good conference and make a strong case of why you should make it. But in all honesty, like Penn State very easily could be like 6-5 right now. Even heck, they could be like 7-4. Because take that game back against Indiana, won in overtime, should have won it. Take the game back against Michigan. Michigan was playing. People were calling Michigan the best team in the Big Ten. They only lost them by 4 points. And you can go back and watch my video. I'll link it here. But you can see how frustrated I was with that game because there's no way that we should have lost it. Because there was some bad calls at the end of the game. But the end of the game scenarios have been very poor for Penn State this season. And if Penn State executes better at the end of the game, there's no way that we are 5-6. There's no way, because in Seton Hall, we should have beat Seton Hall, but that game went in overtime as well. So that's Seton Hall, Michigan, and Indiana. Those 3 games all came down to the wire, and they lost all 3 of them. So very easily could be 7-4. But the Big Ten, the Big Ten continues to entertain. Every single game is a battle. Big Ten and Big East are my 2 favorite conferences to watch because all the games are entertaining, all the games are competitive. And you can see in the Big Ten that there's different teams ranked every single week, and the rankings are changing so much. Like Minnesota's beating big teams, but then they're losing to teams. Like they lost to Maryland, I believe it was. So that's why the Big Ten is so fun to watch, because any team can beat any other team on any given day. It's gonna be very cool to see. It's gonna be fun to watch how the season pans out, and it's gonna come down to who wants it more. And just because, like, at the end of the day, if Penn State really wants to make March Madness, they're going to have to be bringing their A game every time, because they can't be making the slightest mistakes against teams like Wisconsin and Ohio State and teams like Michigan, who are veteran teams with veteran coaches. I think if they bring the energy and enthusiasm that they had at the beginning of the season, the energy and enthusiasm they had in the past couple of games, and carry that over into the future and focus, take it 1 game at a time, because you don't want to be looking ahead on the schedule and ignoring teams that you believe that you'll beat. So if they can stay focused and keep playing as a group and keep being determined, I believe that they have a chance of making March Madness. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. That concludes today's video. Like I said, I'm back at school now, so I'm going to be able to produce more videos for y'all. But stay tuned for some more content. We'll see you next time here on the channel.